For more than a decade, FTI has strived to become the leader in the aftermarket performance transmission and converter industry. We've joined forces with McLeod Driveline Components under the leadership of Top Fuel Funny Car pilot Paul Lee, and now have a larger distribution network, more resources, and more power. Come see us in the pits and ask how you can join the FTI family. It's not cheating, it is the competitive edge.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey everybody, WFO, how's everybody doing out there? Joe Castello back with you as we are going WFO once again. That is right, WFO for another week. We got our Summit Motorsports Park, Summit Racing Equipment, NHRA Nationals results, and Alan Reinhart going to be joining us as we break it all down. Mike Salinas, Robert Hight, Erica Enders, and Angelle getting the victory. It is going to be great. Great to see all of you out there. I can't see you, but I know you're there, and we're going to take your comments, of course, in the chat section, and then we ask you to subscribe and click the bell and sign on to everything we've got. And WFO Radio this week, we're going to hear from Ron Capps, 12 noon Wednesday. Ron Capps, and you're like, Ron Capps, when was the last? Oh, yeah, 2 weeks ago. We missed him in Thunder Valley. We didn't get a chance to catch up with Capps after the first big win for the GR Supra, and so we're going to speak with Capps. This is, I think, the first time he's been on since the big switch to Toyota. So we're going to speak with Capps about all of that. And then yesterday, Dean Antonelli got very emotional on the starting line. I thought it was great. That's exactly what I like to see. These crew chiefs, just a little like beating on their chests a little bit. We're going to talk about that with Capps tomorrow too. So don't miss it. Write it down, 12 noon tomorrow. And we've got Jerry Savoy and Angelle and Erica and Robert and Mike in the next couple of weeks. So stick around. It is 4th of July week. 4th of July, a week from yesterday. So happy birthday, America, all of that. We're going to be celebrating on WFO. We got an ignition show we might be doing later on this evening. Who knows? Who knows? But right now, I want to tell you about the people who make it possible for me to go WFO, like Total Seal Piston Rings. New episode, Hidden Horsepower, up and available. Matt Smith talking about all kinds of interesting stuff, like the amount of potential left in the Suzuki, number one, that he wants to drive nitro before his career is over, and he thinks he could be really good out of it. Just really interesting personal conversation with Matt Smith. But he talks about, of course, the importance of Ring Seal. Go to TotalSeal.com to hear the podcast. It's also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. But really, though, they are using WFO as a way of getting the word out. If you're an engine builder or a bracket racer or having an engine built, you got to go with Total Seal. Make them your first call. You won't regret it. TotalSeal.com. And of course, the folks at VP Racing Fuel, you heard a little bit about those guys at the very beginning. I want to tell you, until June 30th, so today's the 28th, you still have time. All you engine builders out there, you can save 25% on VP lubricants. So get on the website, 25% off MSP on VP lubricants for engine builders. So in the biz, go to their website, find out more information. I was fed that last week, and I think it is great that they know that people that are in the biz are watching and listening on WFO Radio. So go hit up folks at VP Racing Fuel. FTI Performance Racing Transmissions and Torque Converters. Big money brackets. There's $1 million race going on right now as we speak. And you can bet that a lot of the contending competitors out there are using FTI Performance Transmissions and Torque Converters. Troy Williams had a birthday just last week. Great stuff. Folks at FTI, just look at the decals. How many decals say FTI on these .90 racers, big money bracket racers, but also Top Sportsman, Top Dragster, and Pro Mod? FTI Performance.com. Check them out. And finally, Phillips Connect. Phillips-Connect.com. Smart Trailer Technology. They're out there on the Midway. They've got the technology trailer now. Mr. Epler is bringing it out. He's so involved, obviously a drag racer through and through, and now helping the transportation industry get better and better. And I'm looking at like Phillips Connect versus R&L carriers, and think about how vital these technologies and these people are to our country's health and economy. And, that's what it's all about for me. So Phillips-Connect.com, check them out. We thank them greatly. Later on in the show, I'll tell you a little bit more about samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, and Marvin Rodak's coffeeandgrills.com, 817-924-6821. But now it's time to go out to Tucson, Arizona. He's home for the first time in 48 days. That is some crazy stuff right there. Voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart. What's up, Alan?
Hey, Joe. Good to be home. My car's missed me. My motorcycle's missed me, so it's nice to be back for a week.
How do you know? Did they tell you?
Of course.
Okay.
How long have you had your Pontiac?
78 Trans Am since 1978, since I was a 7-year-old little boy, 5-year-old.
And it doesn't have feelings? You can't read its feelings by now?
No, I can read its feelings. And you know what its feelings are right now? Anger. Its feelings are anger. It has
Put me back together.
But yes, I understand about the feelings. And you're right. Did you miss being home, though? You get home, there's got to be a great sense of relief. You were out on a world tour. It's in the new National Dragster. You got your story. But when you get back, what's that feeling like for you when you get back after that 48 days? I can't even imagine.
Actually, it wasn't. I came by the shop and, turned everything on. And I went by the house and turned the AC back on. And then just came in yesterday and started catching up with some stuff. The weirdest thing was last night when I woke up, middle of the night, I wake up and I'm going to go to the bathroom, and I walk in, and walked in, turned the light on and went, oh yeah, I'm home now, because I'd been in 17 different hotels and just got used to, okay, you feel your way around in the night and find but it was really strange when I turned the light on and went, oh yeah, I'm home. I forgot that. But
yeah.
I'm here for the week, and then I go to Woodburn the following week, and I believe I'm only home one weekend between then and Pomona, so it's going to be a busy year.
That's amazing. That is amazing. I will be home the next couple of weeks, folks. But feeling what he's talking about in the bathroom, there have been many times over the past couple of weeks where I'm like, where am I? What is this? So I get it. Alan, we had such a great race. Everybody's out there. Michael Heiner is out there. That car's running well. What's up, Michael? How are you? Great to see Logan and the fam out there. It was super great.
Hey, put the sign on the door.
But the sign is on the door.
No, the sign's not on the door, and my shop neighbor just walked in to grab a soda, so now the sign's on the door. I forgot.
I mean, shop neighbors. It's cool. But listen, so we're going to talk about fun things. So let's talk about the tough stuff first, right? When we parted ways last week, Bruton Smith and Bill Bader Sr. were both still in the world with us, and here a week later, they are both no longer with us. The Bill Bader Sr. story started to erupt as I was leaving the event, right? It was winding down, and it was shocking and upsetting because, we both spent time with Junior up there and Evan, his grandson, and they pulled it off. They had such a great event. We enjoyed being there so much. I don't want to say we feel like part of a family, but I know that their family is so tight, and to know that Junior and Evan are now mourning the loss of their, father and grandfather, respectively, and not to minimize what Bruton Smith meant to the entire motorsports community and so many great things. John Forrest gave just a heartfelt eulogy on the stage at the pre-race, and to think that we lost them both now, it's mind-numbing. It's so sad. It's tragedy. And I just wanted to give you a second or two because you probably knew Senior better than I did. I never met the man. I met Junior, and the intensity in Bill Bader Jr., if that's what his dad put in him, my goodness, what an upbringing he must have had.
Well, that's definitely what his dad put into him. When Bill Bader Sr. took over Norwalk Dragway all those years ago, 40 years ago, 45 years ago, whatever it was, the place was dumb. I mean, pure and simple. And he built it into what it is today. And his philosophy of these are our customers, these are our friends, we need to take care of these people. He wasn't interested in just selling you a ticket and getting your money and then shoveling you out the door. He was interested in making sure that you came to his house, you had a good time. You were a guest in his house when you came to the racetrack. The ice cream thing obviously is legendary, but that's something that they lose buckets of money on every year. I mean, think about it. What's ice cream cost these days, even at a wholesale level? But it's something that they want to do for their fans, that they want to do for their family, that they want, when you come to my house, you are going to have a good experience. This is going to be part of it. And it's okay. if they lose a couple of bucks on the thing over the year or a bunch of bucks on the thing over the year, they want you to come out and have a good time. Bill Bader Jr. a couple of times up in the tower, and he does it every year, and it's posted various places around the facility. Here's my personal cell number. If there's a problem, let me know. And he just wants a chance to fix it. And that's kind of been their philosophy forever. Just look at the place that they built. Look at the amenities that they have out there, for their visitors. When you've got, a playground for the kids, how many racetracks have it? When you've got a grassy area that people can go walk their dogs or just hang out or just how many racetracks have that? All of the things that they do to make sure that the people that come visit have a good time is something that Senior instilled in Junior. And, one story that I heard a few years back, I've actually heard it a few times, but I thought it was very interesting. Bill Senior would stand up on top of the grandstands. There's a great walking, and actually there's a handicap area up there as well, just a wide platform where you can stand up above the place, look over the stadium, look over everything. And Bill would be there on a full night, right? A packed house for the Night Under Fire and what he was doing was looking around, trying to find everything he could find that was wrong. What do I need to fix? What can I do better? Where's there something that, that an adjustment could be made that'll make it better? And that's something that he instilled into Bill, and that's something Bill Jr., and that's something that Bill Jr. has instilled into Evan and everybody that works at the racetrack. We need to make our guests feel guests, like they're guests, and do whatever we can. And that legacy, it obviously has served Bill and Bill well. It has served the racetrack very well. The number of people that put Norwalk on the top of their list of favorite places to go visit, whether it's the Nationals or whether it's the Night Under Fire or whether it's Saturday bracket racing, because they make it like that. And the real tragedy was that it was so sudden. Bill Sr., I believe, was 79 or 80 years old, but he was very healthy, very vibrant, and as I understand it, he was, basically out working on his property, which is something he loved to do up in Idaho, and an accident took his life. So it's a shame. It's terrible. I spoke to Bill, a few minutes down in the winner's circle, but the other interesting thing I thought was, he was devastated, obviously, just found out that his father had passed, and we talked, and he was fairly emotional, and then somebody says, "Hey, Bill, can I have a picture?" And he just goes, "Yes, hey, my customer needs me," and goes over and takes his picture, because he didn't want to be a downer on anybody's afternoon that was in the winner's circle at his house.
Yeah.
And that was just the whole philosophy that goes through. Somebody needs something. I need to take care of that. I will worry about my problems later. But it's just, obviously it's resonating through the community right now. But the fact that Junior is absolutely positively going to carry on with the legacy, the Norwalk experience that we'd heard about for so many years before NHRA, before they became a part of the NHRA family, we started going. It's certainly it's in good hands, and it's going to carry on, I think, for generations.
Well, I agree. Obviously, I've only been going 7 years or something, 8 years ago. I don't even remember, but the Norwalk experience is real, and it's amazing how you feel the energy of the crowd and the fans, and they feel appreciated, and the racers feel appreciated. Joe Santangelo says it's like 12-hour, 13-hour tow for me to come here. I'm coming every year because I love how we're appreciated, and that's something that not because of Norwalk, because of myself, but I try to make sure that the people around me feel appreciated. It's so inexpensive to make people feel appreciated, and it doesn't cost you anything to say something kind, or give a pat on the shoulder, or recognize what people have done to get there, to be there, to work hard. And it's just part of being a good person. And Bobby Bennett's got a great eulogy up there, and Brian Loans has got something that he wrote, Stole the Man's Meatballs, but a cute story, and just so sad. And so to the Bader family, I know that track is like our cars talk to us. That track is part of their family. And thank you to them for doing what they do and opening it up to NHRA, because they are a successful facility. In addition to NHRA, their Night Under Fire, everybody tells me that those events, oh man, the NHRA event is great, but you got to see this because it's crazy, and you got to see. I just feel so terribly for them, and I mourn for them, and it is sad. And we were right there. And then the week previous, like crazy stuff, Alan. We're in Bristol, a Bruton track. We leave Bruton passes away. We're in Norwalk. and Mr. Bader passes away. It's like we're right there to experience it as it happens. And so let's transition to the conversation about Bruton Smith. I know everybody has talked about it, but we haven't talked about it. A Titan, right? Like, what do they have that in common? That when people told them, nah, you can't, you shouldn't, you won't, it won't work, don't do it, they said, no, we can, we will, we'll do it, it'll work, and they made it work.
Yeah, Bruton, started off years ago. Charlotte Motor Speedway, he literally built from scratch and then started building an empire. And I'm very grateful that Bruton, somewhere along the line, decided to embrace NHRA. And I can't help but wonder if he hadn't bought Sonoma, because I believe that was the first. If he hadn't bought Sonoma and saw the NHRA experience firsthand, if it would have ever resonated with him. Because, Vegas came later, and then the Bristol drag strip came later. But Sonoma, I think, was his first real experience, exposure to NHRA, and he embraced us and wanted to do what he could to make bigger and better and build incredible stadiums, including, the 2 4-wide drag strips that we go to now. But his vision was, much like Bader's, in that make sure the people that come to our events have a great time, make sure they got something to talk about when they leave, and make sure they want to come back. And I think one of the best things that he ever did was his partnership or relationship with Humpy Wheeler. Because from a promoter standpoint, when Humpy was running Charlotte Motor Speedway, there was nothing that was off the charts. You want dancing bears on motorcycles? Sure, let's bring those in. You want something. But there was always something kind of above and beyond and over the edge at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And then that kind of mentality branched out into the other tracks. I think the one real big difference, Bruton was 95 years old. He had been in declining health. It wasn't a shock that Bruton passed. I think, that everybody, his family certainly knew, he's not going to be here another 2 years. He's not going to be, that his days were numbered, and it was just a matter of how long that he would hold on. So, and it's, I don't know, it's tragic either way. When I was talking to Bill, one of the things he said is, like, I just can't believe he's gone. I can't believe he won't be there. I can't call him tomorrow. And he went from healthy, vibrant, absolutely full of life to not there. And Bruton, on the other hand, his almost all of the business stuff, or all of the business stuff, had been passed on, was taken by Marcus, and the transition had been made, and all the things that happened, and you get a chance to say everything. And one of the things I told Bill when my father passed, he had cancer, and we knew days were numbered. We didn't know if it was going to be Tuesday or next Tuesday or the third Tuesday, but it wasn't going to be 10 Tuesdays. And so you have the opportunity to say the things you want to say, to make sure that there's no lingering anything that, gee, I wish I could have said I was sorry for this, or I wish I could have told him that, or all of that stuff was done. But the day that I got the call, and I was in Florida, that my dad had passed, is still a tragic day when you realize I can't call him next week. I won't be able to ask his advice about this business thing, personal thing, whatever thing, that he's just not there anymore. It's devastating no matter which way it goes. And, I feel for both the families. It's just an awful day the day that you wake up and realize I can't talk to my dad anymore.
Yeah. And, my dad is probably out there watching right now, or if not, he'll watch this later. And the good news for me is that I can still do that. But I don't take it for granted at all, right? Like, I go over there as often as I can. We try to do stuff as often as we can. His health has been a little questionable. Obviously, the pandemic is something we're still worried about for him. He's 78 years old. And but I'm not missing an opportunity as best as I can. And to everyone out there, we had people in our community, and their stuff is private, but who had things happen this past week and last week also. So if we're going to be a sport that's a family sport, that's not just for families, but that is a family, it's always going to be tough. Like, I feel like we're in a perpetual state of mourning now, because somebody that we know all the time, someone connected, is going through this deal. But that's part of living long life. All right. Now we're, you're about to be 60. I'm about to be 50. And, it's just tough stuff, but it's better than the alternative, which is what you say all the time, right? It's better to stick around than to not stick around. Just sad. It's just sad. But I feel badly for the Baders. I feel bad for the Smith family. Marcus, great guy. He comes around. He's always got positive things to say. He doesn't have to be there. He could have somebody do it. Puts his hand right in the middle of everything. and we appreciate them. And, we're headed to, it's going to be a couple weeks, but we're headed to another facility just like that, right? We're headed to the Vandermeer family, and they do it the same way. Cut from the same cloth. What can be better? What can we do? How do we get people feeling good about where we are and what we are? And, it's just amazing that this is happening right now, but we'll deal with it.
Well, as you mentioned, as everybody's getting older, everything, and Father Time is still undefeated. So it's going to continue to be a theme. I think the one thing that people in the racing world have that some others do, but probably not all, is such a huge extended family. When something happens, the number of people that are there that you can lean on, that you can talk to, that, will come over and share condolences. And, when my father passed, I had to come home, just kind of set things in motion. He had everything taken care of because, again, we knew it was coming. But I literally was in Florida, supposed to go to Kansas. And I came home, spent a day at the attorney's office, going through all this stuff, and then got on a plane and went to Kansas. And there's no place I would have rather been, because the NHRA family is my family. So being there with people that were willing to listen, or willing to, share a story, or just willing to sit and have a drink, and that's certainly helped me get through that period. And I think everybody in the racing world is very fortunate to have a huge extended family, and we're all there for each other when needed, no matter what the circumstance. We're all there for each other when needed.
Absolutely. And like the petty things, they go by the wayside, certainly. So let's do what they would have wanted. This is what we say all the time, right? We've been down this road a few times, and we will be down it again. And let's talk drag racing, because I feel like that's what they would have wanted us to do, to carry on and do some fun things. And we had ourselves a great event. And a little rain delay at the end just kind of extended it, right? We got it in. Now let's just shake the Etch-a-Sketch one more time for the crews out there. Mike Salinas, 4th win of the season. Robert Hight, 4th win of the season. Erica, 5 wins on the season. Angelle, her 46th of her career. Very popular wins. Let's start off in Top Fuel with Mike Salinas, who's taken over the points lead now, and really over the past few races changed the conversation from a Brittany Force domination to, oh no, Mike Salinas. And as much as they looks like they still have room to grow, right? Like, I don't feel like they're topped out with what they're doing, because Mike is still working on driving the car better and improving. And Rob Flynn, what can you say about Rob Flynn and the way he has taken over this team? And according to Mike, empowered everyone on the team to make change and be a decision maker. And Mike says that has made the difference. Mike broke down a little bit. I'm sure he's bummed that I'm telling everybody, but in the media center afterwards, about us being there and deserving to be there. No better proof than that final round. Threw down a 70 at 3:33.
Yeah, I mean, he set low ET of race day in the final round, and that car's been running very well. Rob Flynn is a sharp guy. He has been around a long time. He's a sharp guy. He inherited the team that Alan Johnson put together and built, and has worked with Alan, all the way back to the U.S. Army days. I mean, when he was with Schumacher. Now, Rob is a sharp guy. He is also smart enough to know that all of these guys have been working with potentially the best Top Fuel Nitro mind ever for years. Why wouldn't you tell them, I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear ideas. I'm still the final decision maker. I'm still in charge. But if you had an opportunity to learn from people that studied at the feet of, maybe the greatest ever, why wouldn't you take advantage of that? And they're showing that, that team right now is real solid. I don't think there's really a nick in the armor potentially. And as you said, Mike's driving, and not that he can't hit the tree, but just that he's been kind of letting the car skate around at the top end of the racetrack a bit. And he knows that. And he said point blank, I need to fix this. I am a problem. I am a part of our team that could be better. And it certainly looked like he was better this past week. I mean, I wouldn't say he's quite, Antron or Tony Schumacher yet, but he certainly was better. And if you look at what Mike has accomplished in his life, he looks at problems, tackles them head on, finds solutions, and then just runs to the next problem. He doesn't run from problems. He goes through them. And he's doing that right now. He has built a great team. He's got good people. He's obviously got all the resources he needs. And he thinks right now, one place where we can improve is the guy holding the steering wheel, and that's up to me to fix. And he's working on fixing it. So, yeah, I do think they still got some growth. I don't think Brittany's going anywhere. Steve Torrence obviously is going to be around at the end of the year. I thought his interview with Amanda, where he got a little chippy at the top end of the racetrack. I'm tired of every week you asking me what's wrong with my team when I've told you every week we are working to be better. We had an advantage. They caught up. We're trying to find a new advantage. We haven't forgotten how to race. We haven't forgotten how to win. We are sacrificing some time right now in order to hopefully be better in the future, and especially with the NHRA countdown format that encourages that. You really got to be good the last 6 races of the year. If that means that you sacrifice 5 or 6 races early in the year, do it. If you put you in a position, and they're going to be there. Certainly they're going to be there. I think Justin Ashley's going to be there. They've proven that. I'm still waiting for Antron to just bust out. I mean, that's got to happen, right? Tony Schumacher has got a great car, and Alan being over at the Colettas, once everything gets squared away over there, those 2 cars are going to be right in the middle of it as well. So while it's fun to watch right now, and Mike certainly is having a great run right now, Brittany's having a great run right now, I think by the time we get to the countdown, it's going to be a little bit different tale. I certainly still think Mike is going to be a part of it. I certainly still think Brittany's going to be a part of it. But I think some of those, and the other guys are also going to be right in the middle of the mix.
That interview with Amanda caught a lot of people's ears, but that wasn't the only chippiness. Like, Dean Antonelli, we're going to talk to Caps about it tomorrow, but Dean was like fired up when Cruz took 6 of the 7 seconds to get stage. We saw Mark Ingersoll screaming at Hartford for taking a long time. It's getting to that point in the year, right? Familiarity breeds contempt. They're battling, things are happening, and it was hot. It was so hot down there on the starting line, and discomfort makes people irritable. And we had a situation where we were not comfortable down there. It was aggravating. People were sweating. It was hot. It was gross, and it made people irritated. But what Steve said, in many ways, they are still champions. But what do? Do you go out and win a race? Sometimes you get beaten, and that's the deal. They got beaten. The fact that it was Leah, though. Leah, that was a great weekend for Leah Pruitt and her team. They got to the semis. They had been needing that desperately. And to take down the champ, that's got to make that team feel much better about where they're going. Is in many ways a statement victory. No, we can do this. We can take those guys out even when they're running good. And Steve wasn't bad at all. 75, ran an 80. It was hot. They outperformed them. Sometimes it happens.
Yeah, but also, as Steve said, they are working on the future. And, 3 races into the season, you ask the question, great. 5 races in, great. Every week, you're going to get the same answer. Why aren't you winning? Because we're getting set for the countdown. Why? Because we're getting set for the countdown. Well, why do you keep asking me the question?
Right.
The answer hasn't changed any. Who else gets that many interviews after they lost? And, you could make the point, well, he's the champion, so we expect this of him. But once he's explained to you, we are willing to sacrifice some races in the first part of the season to go forward. And I understand Amanda asking the question. It's absolutely her job, right? People want to hear from the champion. Why aren't you, why haven't you won 6 races already? Why have people want to hear from him? And I also understand Steve's side of it going, look, I already told you. Why do you keep asking me? Come back and talk to me at the end of the year, right? If we get into the countdown, halfway into the countdown, and we're in 10th place and point, come talk to me then. But we have a plan in place to help us win another championship. And if that means that we don't win some races early in the season, that's fine. If we win the championship, we've accomplished our goal.
Well, exactly. And it's all shaping up. And it's not like baseball where there's 162 games, but it's kind of like baseball is you're not going to win every game. There's a lot of losing going on in drag racing, even with the best of the best of the best. You've got to accept that. And we saw several teams understanding that they're going to figure some things out. But we're about to get to that point, right? Western Swing, we got Kansas and Brainerd, and then Indy. We'll know by then.
And then it's go time. But look at how many times do you see, I think the NFL is a great example. Okay? You've got a long season. It's a brutal game. So you get out there and somebody's locked in the playoffs, or they've got the number 1 seed locked up, and there's still 2 games to play. Well, you know what? Our star quarterback's not playing this week. our star running back's going to only play the first quarter. Our receivers are coming out at halftime. I don't care if we lose the game. It doesn't mean anything. We've already locked up our spot in the playoffs. We've already locked our home field event. We don't care about this game. We care about the games that are coming up in 3 or 4 weeks.
Right.
And while in drag racing, certainly you would like to win every race, but I think Steve has made very clear, we don't care if we don't win 10 races this year. If we win the championship, we have accomplished our goal. And if we put ourselves back in a situation where everybody's chasing us again, we have accomplished our goal. And if that means we have to sacrifice something in the short term, then that's what we're doing. And he's been very upfront about that. This is what we are doing. If it doesn't work, then I think you come back later and go, hey, Steve, man, that was a stupid plan. But at this point, if I tell you, hey, it's going to take me 3 weeks to get your car done, don't call me every day and go, is my car done, how come my car's not done? I told you what I'm doing. Let me do it. And then if I don't get it done, come back and ask me then.
There you go. Well, and I think it was interesting. We'll see how it all plays out. We got a couple weeks off for 4th of July, and then we'll be back on the Western swing. Denver, Sonoma, Seattle. And, Steve runs Billy first round, loses to Leah. Leah goes to the semis, gets beaten by Salinas. Just interesting things. You mentioned Antron Brown going out first round. Brittany goes to the semis against Josh Hart. Josh got off the starting line first. And tip of the cap to Josh Hart, right? Like they had kind of a challenging start to the season too, but now they're getting to where they need to be. And Josh, he won his first race ever in Top Fuel, but that's kind of a difficult clip to keep going. They had to figure some things out too, and it seems that they've got them figured out, so they could go on a run.
Well, a big part of what was going on with Josh's team, and I think he has said it, was A, some bad luck, B, just some fluke, stupid things happening, and C, a little minor miscalculation where they took a car that qualified, in the top 5 or in the top 7, and then smoked the tires first round for some inexplicable reason. And they haven't had a bad car at all. They've been, like I said, some bad luck, some right place at the wrong time things, and some fluke stuff. But, they needed a good weekend. Doing it literally across the street from one of the big R&L carriers, freight depots is a good thing because they certainly had plenty of people that were over there watching, paying attention, and had a big footprint out there on the media as well, looking to recruit drivers and material handlers for the business. So I think for Josh, that was, if you're going to have a get healthy weekend, that was a perfect place for him to do it.
Yes, it was, by the way. Good timing for Josh Hart out there. Gets the job done. Point standings in Top Fuel. Mike Salinas has taken over the lead by 12 over Brittany. Steve is 109 back in third. That's a good spot to be. Justin Ashley, fourth, 110 back. Austin Prock, 308 back. So a huge jump between the top 4. But Austin Prock's team is coming around. Josh Hart's team coming around. Sean Langdon's team coming around. Clay Milliken, Doug Coletta. Leah has now gotten into the top 10. Doesn't matter as much as it used to, but still it's good psychologically. Antron Brown, Tony Schumacher, 11 and 12. And then a big jump back to Doug Foley, who was not there. Trip Tatum returns, gets a round win. That's good for Trip. But Top Fuel is going to be interesting. Like you said, there's not a clear favorite anymore. It's now Brittany, Mike Salinas with Steve and Justin kind of in the mix. And it also depends on how much Billy shows up at the end of the year because they're still a very good team. Let's move over to Funny Car, though, Alan. But yeah, the Josh Hart, R&L Carriers moment. Like, my goodness, good call on the timing. Ron Capps was the number 1 qualifier, laid down an excellent pass, and goes all the way to the semis where he gets beaten by Bob Tasca. This is the weekend Tasca needed to have if they were going to do some stuff. John Force had a really good car. Number 2 qualifier, gets beaten by J.R. Todd. J.R. goes to the semis, but gets beaten by Robert and Tasca in the final round. And Robert Hight, just crazy stats, right? 4th one of the year, 6 of 10 final rounds. This is, what kind of year is it for Robert Hight? Because it's been Hagen, it's been Hight. 6 of 10 final rounds is the stat that should lock everybody in. This has been dominance for Robert and Jimmy and Chris.
Who raced in the final last week?
It was Ron Capps, and it was, who did Capps run?
Tim Wilkerson.
Tim Wilkerson. That's right.
That's the only race this year that has not had either Robert or Matt or both in the final round. 1 time out of 10 that both Robert and Matt have been locked out of the final round. I think that's like amazing. And they've raced each other a few times.
Yeah. I think 3. That is insanity. That is insanity.
But, Robert's got a good car, and, Matt has a good car. Bob certainly had a better car than he has shown for most of the year. He just hadn't had any Sunday luck. But I still think, if somebody, and there's a long way to go to count down to the championship, and, there's certainly some people that can step up. Cruz has had a good car at times. Obviously, Wilkerson has had a good car at times, JR. But somebody's going to have to prove to me that they can outrun Matt and or Robert on a regular basis for me to start thinking that they're a legitimate championship contender at this time of the year. And there's plenty of time for somebody to step up and show me. I'm just saying, at this point, I haven't seen it. And, sir, everybody's working on something to be better. I get it. I think Caps is probably the best of the rest, if that's fair, with his team, because they won the championship last year. They certainly don't look like they've slowed down much. But I really think that, until somebody can show me they can beat Robert or Matt on a regular basis, and I just haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, but is anybody ever going to beat Jimmy Prock and Robert Hight on a regular basis? Like,
sure.
That's the thing. I don't know. It's tough to. Those guys they had a couple of down years, or they had one down year a few years ago, but they switched it up, and now they're back, and it's going to be tough to beat. 57 wins for Robert, and has taken over the points lead. How about that Ron Capps Creasy run in the first round, though? That's getting a lot of play on the internet.
Yeah.
Very close to disaster, and yet they didn't touch it, so it's okay.
You got to know that Ron Capps, when he hit the gas and it smoked the tires, going, and then he sees Creasy and goes, okay, well, maybe that was good. Because had he been side by side, they made contact. No question. Creasy came far enough over, and had they been side by side, Ron wouldn't have been able to see him to try to move over a little bit and give him some extra room. So it was a good thing that Ron wasn't side by side with him. And because somebody gave me a fan email, and if anybody was asking, had Ron hit the wall trying to avoid Dale Creasy, he would not be disqualified for that. If you have a foul attempting to avoid something, you will not be penalized for that. We've had times before when somebody comes smoking across the track and hits the wall in the other lane, and if the car behind him crosses the center line to avoid, that's not a penalty. So, once Creasy came across the line, the race was over no matter what would have happened to Ron. Fortunately, nothing did. They were able to go back, reload, and bring the car back up and play again. And just to go back to the Ron and Cruz thing, I loved it. And I said the same thing with both Cruz and I said with Matt Hartford. They did nothing wrong. The rule says you got 7 seconds. If you want to take 6.5 of them, take 6.5 of them. The rule says they did nothing wrong. Cruz, for years, how many times do we talk about, right? Everybody, Cruz wins on a hole shot. Well, he goes in deep and then, it just makes the rest of us look bad. And Cruz goes, so what?
Right.
And, he has told people point blank, it's like, well, my crew chief won't let me do that. He says, then buy your own team and do whatever the hell you want. Cruz owns the car. Cruz doesn't have to explain to anybody. And if Cruz wants to sit there and hold out 5 seconds, he can hold out 5 seconds. And if this turns out to be a feud between those two, I'm fine with it. What you're doing is within the rules. When it gets to the point that you both look stupid, then it's time to fix it. And that happened years ago, Bazemore and Force, when they got into this. Bazemore was never going to stage first no matter what. And so John finally decided, well, then I'm not staging first either. And they sat in a qualifying run in Las Vegas. They sat in pre-stage for 25 or 30 seconds. And then both of them blew the blowers off because they ran out of gas at the end of the racetrack. That's stupid. Yeah. At some point, you got to go, put this away and let's go race. But in the meantime, Ron Capps owns his team. If he wants to sit there and wait, do it. Does he still have to talk to Cruz? Yes, but they can't fire him. They can't yell at him. They're not going to tell him what to do, and they're not going to. So I can guarantee you this, if when we get to Denver, when we get to Sonoma, when we get to Seattle, those two line up side by side, everybody's going to be paying attention, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and what I heard Dean say, first of all, thank goodness for you, Dean Antonelli. It's not the end of the world. It's what we need, right? He goes over right by me. Right? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get Dean Antonelli. I'm going to throw it down to me. And he comes right over and he goes, you tell Cruz, bleep. And I'm like, oh, well, the interview is going to change, guys. I'm going to ask him something different now. So what was all that? And he pulled it together. And then and thank you, Guido, for saying what you said, because all of a sudden everybody's ears go, what? And it just makes it a very interesting thing. Not everybody has to like each other, especially in the moment. You can like each other next week or next month or next year or in November when it's all over. But that was cool. Everybody thought it was cool, and they are going to pay attention the next time you guys run. No need to smooth it out. So there it is. Funny car, Robert. by 21 over Matt, by 100 over Caps, by 274 over John Force, and then Cruz and everybody on down. So it is a bit of a breakaway at the top. You're right. Caps trying to fight his nose into there, but great funny car racing all day long.
It sure was. Look forward to the next one. And one thing you didn't touch on the Top Fuel, I think for anybody that wasn't there or anybody that's a casual fan, I know most of the people on this show are hardcore, 21 Top Fuel cars showed up.
Yes.
That made it fun. That made qualifying fun. We're certainly not going to get that every week, but I'll take it anytime we can get it. And, the quality of cars, there'll be some more funny cars coming out later in the year, I do hope. But we had a full field of 16. We had, more than a full field in Pro Stock as well. So right now that we look, I wouldn't say the healthiest it's ever been, but things are pretty solid out there. The sky certainly is not falling.
On the curve, right? In considering you've got a vicious war going on with Russia and Ukraine, and a lot of the titanium and a lot of metal and a lot of stuff comes out of there, a lot of parts piece comes out of there, and it's being redirected by both countries to the war effort. We're still post-pandemic supply chains, all that. You have 21 top fuelers out there. The 4 qualifying sessions, Alan, felt very different too, right? At a 4-wide race, when you have 4, it's different because the quads go so much quicker. This was 4 old school qualifying sessions. We're not going to have that at all these races, but we had them at Norwalk, and it was kind of a different vibe. It was pretty cool. All right, let's talk Pro Stock. Erica Enders, really domination. The 53 in qualifying was a moonshot, like bested the field by a lot, and a wire-to-wire win. Quadra goes red in the first round. Second round, she goes up against Hartford. Hartford deliberately slow walked the deal. Erica says it doesn't bother her. It didn't bother her. 27 to his 25. He came up 6 thou short. I feel like it was a good move by him. Made it entertaining, created a bunch more entertainment, and almost got her like that. And on a weekend that she was head and shoulders above the rest. And then he says, "What did you expect me to do? I'm going to try to do something. Otherwise, I'm just done. 600, you got us covered." Right? That created more entertainment. Then Derek Kramer. Erica gets around Derek, who had a good weekend, going to the semifinals, taking down Greg Anderson with a good 25 reaction time, and sets up that final round that we've seen a few times, Erica and Aaron Stanfield. Kid Chaos going red to Stanfield. They both blew the window out. That was kind of a missed opportunity for Chaos, but he's obviously good. I found it to be a great weekend of Pro Stock racing, but Erica is the dominant car, and she won her 5th time in 8 races, and she could have had another one. So it's been the year of Erica. Her round record on the season is 23-3. That's nutso.
Well, her round record is 23-2, and Jake and Kyle lost one.
Yes. Yeah, they did, because they unblowed her up.
And I made that reference for Richard when he was walking off the starting line. He kind of gave the friendly wave, not the one-fingered salute, but he's like, "All right, okay, you got me there."
Oh, he took it.
That one's on us. But they got a great car right now, and we've seen over the years. A couple of years ago, Greg Anderson had a car. It seemed like nobody could touch. Even the guys in his own camp couldn't touch it. Right now, Erica's got the same thing going on. She has got a great car, and even the others in her own camp just don't quite have the magic. Didn't she say earlier in the year that, we built a new car for me, and then it went to, Troy, and we built a new car for me, and it went to Aaron, and we built a new car in Boat, and we're built in. I wouldn't train that car for nothing.
Don't change
cars. If you built me 6 new cars, I'd say just put them over there. I'll let you know when I need one. But for right now, they just got it going, and the car's doing what they expect it to do. They're obviously making good power. All of their cars are making good power. But that one particular car, and if somebody could figure that out in Pro Stock, they would be the king of the world. But so many times, you see a guy struggle, bring out a new car, poof, he's a genius. And why? What was wrong with the old car? Nothing we can measure, nothing we can calculate, but this one's just better. Or somebody brings out a new car, goes 3 races and can't do anything with it. They bring the old car back out, and all of a sudden they're fast again. There's just something. When you find the sweet spot and everything on the car is happy, don't mess with it. Pack the parachute, fill it up with gas, figure out your transmission ratios, and send it again, because that's what they're doing right now, and for whatever reason, it's all working. It's amazing that now, we look at 2.5 hundredths on the field and go, oh man, she's dominating, when I remember an era when the number 1 qualifier was a 10th.5 in front of the number 2 qualifier. And if it was only a 10th, people were like, oh, they're catching up. Something's happening here. So it's a fun time to be a pro stock fan right now. There's definitely a lot of good running cars out there, but Erica is head and shoulders above the rest of them. And sooner or later, somebody's going to figure it out. The real question in my mind is, will it be in time?
Well, exactly. It's a season of dominance for Erica. I expect it to continue, but people are taking shots. And she called it the Hartford debacle in the media center. We heard his side. Her side is up there on the media site. And she's, he's with it. She acknowledged that they spoke about it. She's like, it's not going to work. And so, you can do it all you want. And he's like, well, if I'm 600 behind, then I'm going to do it. You can expect it. And I just love to hear that, right? Like they're just a little friction. It's good natured. Mark didn't like it. He got mad, but that's over now. And it's going to make people have to watch. Our listener, Michael Heiner, is out there, and he says that there's going to be 4 qualifying runs in Denver. Qualified 5th again. He says he's qualified 5th at every race except for 1. I think is the stat he told me. But that's a team that's coming around. I want to shout out since he's out there. Got through Kenny Delco, got through Greg, and then Erica, bested him by a considerable amount. But there are some teams out there that can find something and inject themselves into this by countdown.
I think so. And, obviously they're all working on it. They're all looking for it. I thought it was interesting, what Richard said after, talked about the dominance of Erica. And he said, well, we've had that motor under the bench waiting for the Western swing, but when we blew the one up last week, we drug it out. It's like, you've had that motor under the bench? It's like, what are you waiting for? What exactly? But it sure looked like it was operating at a high level of efficiency, no doubt.
Ricky, how do you not know this, man? How did Erica's car get damaged on the right front fender? Everybody asked me that. I saw that asked 1,000 times this week. It's like
it hit the wall. It hit the wall in Bristol.
Hit the wall in Bristol. I don't think people saw that, Alan. I don't know if the Erica brushing the wall made video, but when she was in the smoke show and couldn't see, she was trying to bring it to a stop and just gently brushed the wall, and they left the damage, which I think is actually kind of cool. It's like a battle.
Well, they didn't have time. They went straight from Bristol to Norwalk. I mean, were you going to swing by the body shop for a couple of days? And, since it wasn't a structural issue, it wasn't, to be honest with you, I didn't know that either. I got a couple of fan emails. I reached out to the team and they explained it to me. But yeah, that's why it was scratched on the right side. I'd leave that too. At this point, put a Band-Aid on it. Send it.
Leave it. It was cool, man. Just leave it. Everyone asking the question, they're paying attention. Not everything has to be perfect always. You can win with it. Leave it. It's a battle.
Not everything cosmetic has to be perfect always. Everything mechanical darn sure better be.
Yes, the mechanical stuff definitely has to be perfect. And we're going to hear from Erica. Erica is up at Melling today, presenting them with the trophy and doing all of that. The way she's talking about her season is really interesting to see how Erica is doing, and she did just a great job points wise.
Erica, if you're at Melling, grab me an oil pump. High volume, high pressure, 351 Windsor Ford.
There you go. Erica's 105 ahead of her teammate, Aaron Stanfield, 252 ahead of third place, Kyle Koretsky, 338 ahead of Dallas Glenn. Greg right in the middle of the field, 355 back. Bo Butner and Matt Hartford have climbed up into the top 10. Quadra Jr. and Troy Coughlin Jr., who's still having just the worst luck on the season, but I've been talking to him a lot over the past couple of races. Troy Coughlin Jr.'s head is in the right place, and when it comes around, watch out. That kid's going to win a bunch of races. Just hasn't had it yet. But this is a season of dominance for Erica Enders. But we also know the countdown changes all that. There will be a points reset, and there is a pressure that comes with losing hundreds and hundreds of points in the lead.
Yes and no. I really don't think it's that big a deal. If some people think it's great, some people think it's, I think if I'm in fifth place, I think it's the best thing ever. If I'm in first place, I may not be as big a fan. But as we've seen with Capco car, as we've seen with Robert's team, as we've seen Greg, and I think Erica over the years too, if you've got a car that's that good, who cares?
Right.
Just keep doing what you're doing, and the points are going to keep piling on, and it makes no difference whatsoever, I think. I mean, if it ends up now that, you stumble a little bit going into the countdown and you end up losing the championship by 2 rounds, then obviously you're going to feel like, oh, this is the dumbest thing ever. But everybody knows the rules, right? Go back to the NFL. You can win 15 games in the season. If you lose the Super Bowl, you ain't the champion. I don't care. And so everybody knows the rules. Everybody knows going in what you got to do, what you got to accomplish. But if Erica maintains the performance advantage she has over the field right now, the countdown won't make any difference at all, because she will blow through that again. And it's just going to be a matter of whether or not somebody else, some other team, can find a performance between now and then to challenge her in the countdown, because right now it doesn't look like there's anybody that can.
Can I hit you with a question that, I'm not locking you into this, but in this moment right now, her career high in wins is 9. Over or under that?
Over, definitely.
Yeah, that's to me, that's the story. Like, this is a career-defining season for Erica Enders right now. Everybody's talking about it. I've heard people say that, like just talking about her driving ability, and a double-digit win when there's only 19 races, double-digit wins like 10 and above, when there's only 19 races would be insane. Look at Heiner jumping in. Thank you, Michael Heiner. How about everybody answer that question? Erica's career best wins was in 2015. 2014, she won 6. 2015, she won 9. Is she going to be over or under 9? That is the question.
Well, if somebody wants to put me in a pro stock car, I can beat her. I have a plan.
Oh, you have the Reinhart plan. Yes. You're going to break her crankshaft.
No, that's a 6.5-inch stroke instead of a 3.5 inch that the other guy's running. I'm just going to put together a motor and go, it's 500 cubic inches, promise. Just
right.
Please don't check me.
Beat her and let him throw you out afterwards. I like it. Look at everybody. Over. No, we're watching something special. Over. Everybody's saying over. Right. And I agree. Yeah. I agree. It's been crazy. It's Erica or Field at this point. Over. Everybody's saying it over. And yeah, we're pouring on the pressure, but that's what we do. All right. Pro stock motorcycle. Eddie Krawick, number 1 qualifier, goes to the second round and gets bounced by Hector Arana Jr. So great to see those guys back out there. They want to be back out there. They just need a sponsor. They had Lucas Oil all those years, and we have seen it when there's like this long-standing sponsor relationship. The go get sponsor muscles sometimes get a little weak, and but the go racing muscles didn't get weak. They did a great job out there. Great seeing Hector Jr. and Senior. Hector goes to the semis against Joey, goes red. Joey Gladstone, who got through Jimmy Underdahl and Karen Stouffer, goes to the final round. Other side of the ladder from number 2, Angelle goes up against Ron Torno. Rhymes with, thank you for
porno.
that. Porno, right.
No,
exactly.
They told me that flat out.
Yeah, Torno rhymes with porno.
Or rhymes with porno.
That's it. You can say that on WFO. Not NHRA Mike stuff, but here, definite. And you know what? Totally clears it up, right? Like, he's got that little vocal thing, totally clears it up. Angelle, who was very upset about going red in the final round in Bristol, gets through Matt Smith in the second round, gets through Jerry, who had a 127 reaction time. Tough run for Jerry. Bike didn't go down either, so who knows? Only 183 miles per hour. Maybe something was up. And then
I think he was getting out of the groove at the top end and clapped the throttle.
And then Angelle versus Joey. Joey's day is coming, but it wasn't this day. Angelle left first, won the race. She said in the media center, and I'm sure she spoke with you as well, that it's getting harder and harder for her to, believe that she's the best. Well, on this day, she got the job done and she won it.
I think I've known Angelle a long time, and she wears her emotions on her sleeve. Anybody that even watches casually knows that, right? And when she's running well, you know it. When she's not running well, and the fact that she shows her emotions, she's gotten into some hot water over that. But I think to use Tim Kalungian's training, there are times when all she really needs to do is get her head in the same place that her feet are. When you're up there and you're on the starting line and you're sitting on the bike, that's all you need to be thinking about. Not, this last week or this, or I messed up a run. And I think that she is very critical of herself, which can be helpful when you're trying to grow. But I think that, her emotions sometimes get the better of her, and there's times in competition where you just have to be able to shut that off, put it away, concentrate on the task at hand, and then you can go back to what you're doing later. And my personal opinion, I think that sometimes she struggles with that. She can't get all of that other stuff out of her head and just do this for a short period of time. Now, obviously things change in life, right? I mean, back when she was winning championships and dominating stuff, she's single. She doesn't have to worry about kids. And okay, she was married for a while, but she doesn't have all of these other things in the world that are, demanding her time and demanding her attention, and all deservedly so. I'm not saying, ignore your family or go racing, but I'm saying that you need to be able to just turn that off for this moment in time. And I think that sometimes she struggles with that. But her ability to ride a motorcycle has never been in question. Her ability to go out there and win races, I don't think has ever been in question. It's just a matter of her getting her mind set on the task at hand. And I think it's interesting you talk to, guys that do this so well, Matt and Eddie and Andrew. When they sit on the motorcycle, I think you could blow the tower up and they wouldn't notice. They are just so focused on this, and they certainly aren't thinking about, well, when I get back to the shop on Monday, I got to do this, or gee, I forgot to buy my wife flowers, or my daughter's birthday's coming up, or they are right here. And they're not thinking about what happened last run. They're not thinking about what happened last week. And that's an amazing talent if you have it. I think great golfers have that. And I've used the analogy before. You see somebody like Tiger, somebody like Phil, somebody like, hit a bad shot, and they're over there in the rough, and they just go over and go, okay, need a 6-iron, and okay. 100% confidence, bang. When I hit one in the rough, and I get a club out of the bag, and I'm like, I can't believe the ball's in the fucking rough. And I'm not thinking at all about what I got to do right now. I'm still pissed off about what happened, whatever it was 3 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago when I hit the shot. But you certainly can't be thinking about what happened 2 weeks ago, or what happened a week ago, or even what happened yesterday. You've got to be able to close that out, and champions have the ability to do that. Angelle, for many years, seemed like she was very good at doing that. But again, different place in life, right? Things change. You get older, your priorities change. And so, getting back to, if she ever gets back to that, she's going to be, I think, as dominant as she ever was.
I had Andrew come up to me on the starting line, and we just don't have as much time. They run the bike so fast, and Pro Stock the way it runs for starting line interviews, and it's just a challenge. But Andrew came up to me a couple of races ago. I forget exactly where it was, but he goes, because we're friendly, and he comes up, he goes, you know what I miss the most? And I was like, wow, totally thrown off guard. I have no idea. Like, what is it? He goes, now there's no time in my life when I can block out everything. That was the only thing that I had in my life that enabled me to block out everything else. And he goes, and now I miss that because there's no time that I can just focus on one thing. And I'm always with a cluttered mind, and I miss it. And I was like, wow, I don't want to call it like a drug, but like something that he had that he can't get back now because he can't get back there. He can't get back to that. And he was going there. It wasn't like a skill. It was a relief, which I thought was very intriguing, the way he presented it.
Yeah, I think it's a skill also. I also think it bears pointing out, and, no offense to Vance and Hines guys, but they know this as well as everybody else. There wasn't a soul in the place that was wearing something other than Vance and Hines that was pulling for Angelle.
Right.
I mean, everybody wants Joey to get the first one. With Corey standing there on the starting line, they had a new sponsor on the bike, which certainly is nice, but, I mean, everybody wants to see Joey get that first one. And I think if it hadn't been Angelle or Eddie in the other lane, even the Vance and Hines guys would have been over there rooting for Joey to get his first one. It's going to get there. Just have to wait until the next one at least.
Yeah, well, exactly. And Joey, they're going in the right. I talked to Corey Reed. I was like, you want to talk before after winning the semis? He goes, after the next one, Joe. They're a different group right now. They're a different group of people. At first, they were the kids coming in, partying and having a good time. And now I think I've witnessed a change in their attitude over there at that team. And I fully expect them to keep the hammer down. Joey's not going to lose this ride. This ride's not going anywhere. Joey Gladstone is nice. He had an injury last year. He's getting further and further away from all of that, and it's going to happen. Plus, they had Michael Phillips help. What's up, guys? Tell Alan I'm hanging it up, and crew chief now. Oh, what, for the kid, Michael? You gonna let Reinhart run you out like that? You can't do that, Michael Phillips. You got
good, because I got the last word.
Oh no, you did get the last word, Alan. You attacked this poor man, and I didn't get to tell you, but he was telling me behind the scenes. You tell Reinhart I'm gonna get back at him. Looks like not going to.
He knows how to get a hold of me if he wants to get a hold of me.
Yeah.
Come on, Michael.
That wouldn't be nearly as fun. Michael Phillips. That is good, though. That is good. All right, so there it is. Point standings. Steve Johnson, the leader by 52 over Angelle, 55 over Karen, 103 over Joey, 105 over Angie. Whoa, man, I don't want to bring up Angie. I feel bad for Angie. I don't know what to say about that. That was just red light against Jerry, had a dominant bike, took herself out of competition. Just tough stuff. That's got to be tough to take, and she wants to be back at the racetrack like right this second, I'm sure.
Well, if that red light motivates her like Angelle's motivated her, then look out, Denver. It as a general rule, you would think the V-twins would have an advantage in Denver. When you've got less air, more cubic inches would be a bigger advantage than it would be at sea level. It hasn't always played out that way, but she's got herself a pretty good motorcycle right now. I find it interesting that the Steve Johnson dominance didn't last as long as I guess I thought it would. When he was running at the beginning of the year, he had a fairly sizable advantage, and in my mind, I was thinking it was going to take a little time to overcome that. It hasn't seemed to take as long as I thought it would. I mean, I'm certainly not saying that he's out of the mix anymore, but not quite the dominant bike that he had. Karen came out of Gainesville, and simply, I still feel because of no qualifying, because they hit on it, that gave her a chance to be a superstar for the weekend. And now she's been a top 5 bike certainly, but after Gainesville, the number of people to go, oh my God, what are we going to do with Karen? Hey, take a breath. Take a breath. Wait till everybody's made 25 runs and then tell me. And by the time everybody's made 25 runs, Steve really looked like he had the dominant bike. Right now, it looks like it's as competitive as it's ever been. And, I know I like that. I know Terry Vance likes that because we talk about it regularly. Even when Vance and Hines is out there mowing him down, he knows it's better for the class to be more competitive. It's better for the class to have different names and different faces going rounds every week. And, you're never going to throw a race. But when something like this happens, then it's good for everybody, and it also makes it extra special when you win. If you had a 10th and a half advantage over the field and you win 5 races, are you going, yay, hey, look at me, or are you going, because it's when you don't have that, then you win the races. That I think that's what makes it special.
Michael says that Jock wasn't there this weekend is what hurt Steve. There are a lot of questions. We'll have to see. Heiner. So we got Phillips and Heiner having their own conversation in the chat section. That's what WFO is all about. VIP stuff going on here. All right, Alan, let's pick up the pace because this is pretty amazing. Chris Thorne, Pro Mod win again. Wow. Yeah. I don't want to say he came out of nowhere, but he kind of came out of nowhere. The black, just fierce-looking Camaro. I talked to those guys in the winner's circle. Chris Thorne is going to come on WFO. He feels ready now. And their performance has been amazing.
Yeah, Stevie Fast brought out a screw supercharger for the first time. Qualified number 1. Certainly looked like he had a car that could win the race until he had a mechanical malfunction, and I think it just didn't go into third gear, whether it was a transmission thing or whether it was a shifter thing. But they were working on the car before he staged it, and then the thing left solid and just didn't go into high gear. Ricky with the nitrous car, still out there making noise, even though everyone's, everybody's against me and the rules are so bad, you can't be competitive with a nitrous car, so here I go to the final. Nice. But it's fun. It's fun watching all of the different power adders that are out there battling it out right now. Chris Thorne is ride the ride while you can, because we all know it don't last forever.
He's definitely been a thorn in the side of the category.
Oh God.
Bill Skillman. Speaking of thorns, another win for Bill Skillman. What a final round! 1,000th of a second. David Barton leaves first, and I want to say, hey, public apology to Chris Holbrook. Holbrook is like, hey, you guys didn't. You forgot about me. And he does the power for Bill Skillman. I made such a big deal about Stanfield. I made such a big deal about Ray Barton. And I didn't talk about Chris Holbrook, who puts the power in those Skillman Ford Mustangs. He says he's super excited about Factory X, and he's working on getting a car built. He's going to be out there running Factory X. But Bill Skillman, we've got ourselves a war shaping up now in Constant Aviation Factory Showdown.
We do, and while those 2 cars have gotten most of the headlines over the course of the last 4 or 5 races, the Dodgers are out there running pretty good as well. Mark Powick certainly had a car that looked like he could win, was competitive. David Davies has got a car that's been more competitive every week. Walter Welcher with his. So I think Factory Showdown right now is what it was supposed to be. All 3 manufacturers going at it. Everybody looks like they've got a legitimate shot to win. All the cars in the field are competitive, and it's fun right now. It's just, at least for me to watch, it's fun.
Yeah, very fun. Great racing, factory cars. And we're finally back to where we were when we put the Fords to 327 cubic inches. Other winners, Matt Cummings wins 3 in a row out there at Norwalk. The McPhillips get the win, and that's kind of like a scrappers connected double in many ways. Doug Gordon in Top Alcohol Funny Car. Seeing the fam.
5 in a row, baby. 5 in a row.
Crazy, man. Seeing the girls go nuts for their dad. Like, I was just watching them. Wasn't even watching the race. Just watching them jump off the ground. Like, it's just, that will make fans. Show that clip. Hey, stranger, watch this. You want to watch the sport? They will say, yes, absolutely. Way to go. Scott Shamness in Comp Eliminator first-time winner. Tyler Bohannon, first one in Super Stock. Got emotional down there. That guy is an ace bracket racer. He's a big money promoter. He's heavily involved 100 ways. To see him care so much about winning a Wally, it shows how valuable the Wally is, even when some people out there try to diminish it. For Tyler to show the emotion he did. Joe Santangelo was in the final of both, gets the one in Stock Eliminator. Pat DeBottis in Super Comp was awesome. Dwayne LaFleur in Super Gas was awesome. Steve Yeager, Al Kenny, and Gabe in the Junior Shootout. Your winners out there at America's Racetrack.
Yeah, Al Kenny's won a lot of races as well. Joe Santangelo, that was his 4th, and almost his 5th. And I think for Tyler, that had to be part of it, right? I mean, if he goes to the final round and he beats me, you're still thrilled that you won. But when you beat Joe Santangelo in a final round, you really accomplished something, and I think that makes it even more special. But no, good racing, throughout the course of the day. Alan Billingsley had the problem earlier in the weekend, and fortunately he was okay, and I do believe that the car will fix. But aside from that, it was a pretty clean weekend. We didn't have, I don't think anybody, one motorcycle went in the sand about 10 feet, and, I think, and that was it. I mean, it was a nice, clean, smooth weekend. Good show for the fans, kept the things moving along, and of course, Norwalk as hosts were, as they always are, amazing.
And Bobby Bodie wins the annual Norwalk ice cream eating contest.
No, he didn't.
He would beat him anyway, but kids, they should call him the squirrel. Bobby Bodie, the squirrel, because he's got a lot of room in there. I don't know if it's drinking beer in college or what.
Who was the trumpet player that when he his cheeks would get this big?
Yeah, who was it? I can't bring it up right now, but he's the same guy who, I don't know.
Anyway, that's Bobby Bodie. He didn't eat all that ice cream in a minute. He shoved it all in his mouth in a minute.
Salinas quit. Salinas is like, I'm never quit and I'll fight to the end. We watched Bobby Bodie steal Mike Salinas' ice cream eating soul right from him. He kind of gave up in the middle. He goes, look at that kid over there. Like, I can't do that. He started throwing ice cream because Dizzy Gillespie. Thank you very much. Dizzy Gillespie.
But when you said, okay, spoons down, and it's like, how are you, Mike? Fine. How are you, Angie? Fine. How are you, Dallas? Fine. How are you, Bobby? And then you weighed everybody's stuff and came back over and said, okay, hey, Bobby, you're the winner. And he's still going, he hadn't eaten the ice cream. If you have to eat it in the time allotted, I mean, if it counts just shoveling it in your mouth before the clock runs out, then he won. He won the I had less ice cream in my cup at the end of the contest. I'm not sure he won the I ate more by the end of the contest.
So what the rules makers are reviewing this, obviously, Alan. There will be a third rule in the rule book, but maybe, ice cream down at 60 seconds, and you must have it or spit or yeah. We're working on it. We're working on it. But it was very well liked. It's up there on social media. Hopefully everybody will enjoy it. And great job. Alan, great job. 4th of July weekend. This is always big. I love this holiday. I love our country. And no better place to get ready for it than at America's Racetrack.
I agree 100%. I think looking forward to the week off after 7 weeks on the road. Looking forward to taking the motorcycles out this weekend and going for a spin. So I'm going to enjoy my relaxing few days and then get piled up, ready to go to Woodburn, Oregon, and then off on the Western Swing, and then on and on and on.
There you go. Alan, great job as usual. Appreciate calling the race with you. We had a lot of fun, and the Western Swing is next, and I know we always have fun on the swing. So I'm looking forward to it. We'll see you next week right here on WFO. Have a great weekend.
Take care, Joe. See you soon.
There he goes, the voice of the NHRA. Alan Reinhart joins us each week right here on WFO Radio. Wow, this has gone long, guys. So much racing. Bader wants to have every category that exists out there for the most part. So there's a lot to talk about. Plus, when you get in arguments and little fights and people are cursing at each other, it makes it great to see. So put your comments in the comment section. Final comments in the comments section. But before I tell you about the sponsors, I want to tell you about these guys. This is like one of the best moments that I've had ever. Like just a shocking moment. Gutierrez Brothers Racing. They were watching the show at the very beginning. I didn't get their comment up because we were talking about Bader Sr. and Bruton Smith. And I didn't want to make it about, us, but JP Gutierrez and the Gutierrez Brothers Racing team, without telling me, I mean, I know they comment on the show every once in a while, but they really like WFO. And so they took it upon themselves to go to the WFO store and buy the giant logo t-shirts and wear them through qualifying. And I was walking down there. I was like, not thinking about this at all. I was just minding my own business, not thinking about it at all. And I see a WFO t-shirt and I'm like, oh, that's cool. A WFO t-shirt. And then I saw 2, and then I saw 4, and they are all wearing the WFO t-shirts with the giant logo that's a bit controversial. And it just, wow, like I should keep doing this show. People actually like this show. This is great. And it's not about, as much as I wish more people would share the show, especially from YouTube, and recruit their friends, because we don't do a lot of marketing. It's more of an insider's thing, right? Like you get to, the inside dope when you are WFO. But what proves it more than Michael Heiner and Michael Phillips having a little conversation about how they're going to submarine Alan Reinhart in the chat section all the while? Like we've got people like this. They didn't tell me, hey, Joe, check out our they just did it. They just did it. Hartford was wearing his WFO shirt. Like so many people wearing their WFO shirts, and you can get them in the WFO store on our website. Go there, WFOradio.com. And we got Miami Hollywood gear now for those of you who want to rep the classic track or a cool track that's no longer in existence. But thank you, JP. Thanks to you guys. Like, wow. And I don't, I forget where it was. Somebody said I was cocky. It's so maybe when I was a kid, I was cocky, but now I'm shocked that people, appreciate what we're doing and thankful for it. And wow, just you guys, you really made my weekend. You made my weekend with that because you did like a group thing. And Eddie was out there wearing his WFO gear. And it's just amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, you can pick up your own WFO stuff in the WFO store. I would love to put the link up in the chat section. You can get it at WFOradio.com. Yeah, I cannot share the link for this page for whatever reason. We'll do it another time. All right, here are the people who make it possible for me to go WFO. Think about these people. You don't have to use them today, but there will be a time where you need coffee. You'll be like, man, I got to order some coffee in bulk, or I got to get a great gift for somebody. What can I do? What will be easy that they will love? Rodax. On the side of Joe Morrison's Top Fueler, got a lot of great time on NHRA.tv. 817-924-6821. And everyone tells me they love the WFO radio blend. Yes, we have our own blend. Just like Joe Morrison has got a blend, we've got a blend. Go to RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. Find out more. FrankHawley.com. The Dragster Adventure. People were referencing Frank a little bit earlier as the mental side. And, that's what he's an expert at. Frank Hawley. But the Dragster Adventure is, you're going to get some of that, but it's really just pure fun. And they travel around the country. They go to where you are. They run the dragsters. And it's the most affordable and easiest way to have the experience. FrankHawley.com. Samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Brian Massengill, Linda Judson. They made a school for young people who are interested to go and get that core knowledge. They're approved to train veterans under the GI Bill. Samtech.edu. Tell them you heard about it on WFO. Of course, Phillips Connect, that's smart trailer technology. Sensors, the wheels and the weights and fire and heat and all of these things. Smart trailer technology. If you're in transportation like R&L carriers, if you have just a small group of trucks and trailers, you're going to want to check them out. Phillips-Connect.com. Total Seal piston rings. We're going to do another episode of Hidden Horsepower again today, but the Matt Smith episode is up. You want to learn a little bit more about Matt Smith and the kind of person he is? We interview Matt on WFO when he wins, and we always talk about the win. This is not about winning at all. It's about engine building and ring seal and what he finds to be interesting about the V-twin versus the Suzuki and what's holding him back right now. And it's parts availability and managing that. Check out the podcast, but really it's an exercise in learning the value of ring seal. TotalSeal.com. VPRacingFuels.com. Of course, 25% off MSP right now for 2 more days for engine builders. 25% off VP lubricants for engine builders. Get them at VPRacingFuels.com. Give them a call. And FTI Performance Racing Transmissions. Yeah, like why would you not want 25% off? And FTI Performance Transmissions and Torque Converters. They've got their own transmission fluid. And when you're watching the $1 Million Bracket races go off on the social media today, look at how many FTI Performance Transmissions and Torque Converters decals they are. They are an industry leader, been around for 12 years and like burst onto the scene. A meteoric rise. FTI Performance Transmissions and Torque Converters. We thank them and we thank Paul Lee for coming on board with WFO Radio. Plus, the VIP Listener Club, the Patreons. These are people who pay money for the little added bonus stuff that I give them, which I just posted something today where I informed the Patreons about our Patreon-only meetup at the U.S. Nationals in Vegas, about a super secret Patreon-only pit meetup with a certain top fuel driver who is going to invite the Patreons of WFO Radio in for a little meetup. I will not tell you who. But if you would like to join the Patreons and people are joining, you can join for a yearly membership. There's monthly memberships. And after you get over a threshold, you get a pin and a patch and a decal, just like old school NHRA. But really, nobody even cares about that stuff. They just want to support WFO, and I'm humbled by it. Genuinely humbled by it. Thank you, Patreons. All right, let's see what everybody's got to say, and let me get ready to get out of here. And then let's see what everybody's got to say. 14 comments up there. Here we go. Barrichello Nitro, my buddy, who I see at the track, and she's sitting there, nose in her phone, and I'm like, trying to say hello, and I'm being ignored, basically is what happened. It's like, excuse. Okay, that's fine. Love you guys working together on the mic. It was great. I'm getting a lot of feedback being in the booth on Friday and Saturday, but man, I love being on the starting line on Sundays. So it really works out well. Great show. Thank you very much. AJ, great show today. Thank you so much. Yeah, long show today. Hey, I'm not that big of a downgrade from Amber, Alan, and Joe. I didn't say that, Michael. I didn't say that. I think you're great. And the Hartford's up there in the top 10 now. So, but I wish we could have Amber out there as well. That's all. That was like the Nathan's hot dog eating contest with him. Monica, exactly. Okay, I'm going to I'm going to pat myself on the back. I came up with the ice cream eating contest, me and Nikki from NHRA social media. It's our thing. But we have agreed that when we are like no longer, whatever, something has happened or we're moved on or passed on or whatever, that hopefully the ice cream eating contest at Norwalk continues. Because it is exactly a ripoff, inspired by the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. That's exactly what it's inspired by. Like if we can have a hot dog eating contest that is so big and so popular that people outside of the world like follow it, why would people not want to watch the Norwalk ice cream eating contest? I just wish more people would share it on the social media. Good show today. That was pretty cool seeing those shirts out there. Amazing. Those guys, amazing. Thank you. Again, thank you, Monica. Having emotion in interviews is a good thing. I know it's a struggle when you want to be the good guy, plus you want to look good for your sponsors. Diversity makes good TV. Well, absolutely, Nicole. And Nikki's been out there on the starting line, and she's worked in the sport. Now is working in local news and some big thing. Does a podcast called Women Take the Wheel. Way to go, Nikki. But nobody wants to be the bad guy. But show us what you're feeling, whatever it is. Like Mark Ingersoll is still not a bad guy. And I'm sure him and Hartford are going to get along great, just like today. It's okay to have a dust up. It's okay to get on the emotional side. I get in a dust up with people every once in a while. It happens. How you respond from there. If you're like a grudge holder, axe grinder, sneak into their car to damage it, look, then you're a bad person. But you don't have to agree on everything all the time. Sometimes it's fun to disagree. And I thought what Hartford said, and what Erica said, like it guarantees the next time they race, everybody's going to pay attention. Awesome to see him represent WFO or whatever he said, Eddie. There he is. Way to go, JP. Thank you. Joe, you're the best. Next time we'll go number one qualifier for you. WFO to the front, best show around. Thank you again. Like you and the fam. And I love that you didn't tell me about it. And they sit around at home on like family meals watching WFO is something that they said. Which that's just crazy, guys. Come on. You don't have to do that. We do appreciate you, Joe. Thank you, Stephen. Way to go, JP. Yeah, fans, right? Like, why, if you're a fan of WFO, why would you not root for these guys now? Because you're all like, it's part of the same thing all of a sudden. It's extended family. Chris Gerritsen, or maybe on your car, WFO says Chris Gerritsen, Blind Squirrel Racing, speaking of squirrels, who was out there this weekend and rocking WFO decals on his car. Thank you very much for that, Gerritsen. Great show today. You're not cocky. Don't listen to them. People say stuff. Great suggestion. Brian Loans and Amanda. Oh, Blake, you're such a fan of Brian Loans and Amanda. Such a super fan of those two. I thought it was some guy stalking me. I never looked up, and all I saw was black pants and a phone. So I guess I should have been like, excuse me, and interrupted your moment. That's okay. I'm out there like looking for fans to engage with, right? Like, hey, Barrichello. Sorry, I'm super late. I'm glad I'm not on the clock. First day back from vacation. Oh, Derek was on a cruise. We'll hear about it, I'm sure, on the Ignition Show. Hope to see you in Denver in a couple of weeks. I plan on being there. Wore my WFO shirt at Woodburn last week, said Eric. Say the Wonder Wagon had a sticker. Great show, Joe. Eric is a Patreon, and so is Jeff, Dragster Jeff, Wonder Wagon. I'll bring you one of my homemade apple dumplings to Reading. Ooh, sounds interesting. Unfortunately, we aren't going to be racing again this year, but we are hopefully going to be spectators, says Jeff. Yeah, come out you better, Jeff. Come on. Drag racing heals the soul. I did the track walk with you at Norwalk. Hey, Carl, that was great. Yeah, the track walk has turned into an interesting thing, right? Like where it's just me interviewing the fans. And I even asked somebody, I said, like, what, we haven't had the drivers. And it's like, you know what? The real reason is people go to the track walk to walk the track. The track is the star. Give the drivers a little extra time. And you know what? It's been working. I've met so many great people out there on that track walk. They love drag racing. I think it's one of the coolest things in all of sports. Like baseball, football, soccer, like really, like fan engagements in all of sport. The track walk. Come walk on the field right before the game. Dust up with J.R. Todd. Yeah, that was one. I had a dust up with J.R. Todd. We're cool now, though. And after that crazy clown commercial, I really admired JR's comedic timing. Unless he's got someone like coaching him or something. In each one of those Toyota bits, like JR has a funny moment. Like JR is a funny guy with his dryness. That's hard to teach. It's natural. I just wish JR would, be. They're going good. Todd was the Nitro School professor, and we learned a lot, and they went on to the semis. They're coming around. I yelled WFO Joe to you. I remember you. Thank you, Carl. Derek, J. Joe, what's up? What's up? Facebook user. Need Super Street at Norwalk. Really? Another category? And the answer, Carl, is why not? Why not, Carl? Yes, let's have them all. Let's not bar Super Street. Let's get them in there, too. It's only going to be like 30 cars. We can fit them. You might as well just say we got them all. What about a shrimp cocktail eating contest from St. Elmo's Steakhouse at our? Okay. Are you the guy who posted this on my Twitter account? First of all, I think that would be dangerous. Like, we already had to have Doc Surface in the house. I asked Doc Surface in the morning. I was, hey, Doc Surface, can you die of brain freeze? And he goes, well, actually, yeah, you could. I was like, what? Doc Surface was around, lending his credibility to it, and he says he'll be more involved next year. I think the shrimp cocktail eating contest could go horribly wrong. I love that shrimp cocktail. It's one of my favorite things. And I love the intense experience it is. I don't think we would ever want people eating that, like for quantity or for speed. Dangerous. Thank you. Michael Heiner, new JR commercial is awesome. Yeah, there, you know, people were talking like the people who are like over critiquers say that there's no victory lane in drag racing. And I was also accosted by a couple people saying, stop saying pole position, that there's no pole position in drag racing. It's the number one qualifier. Don't call it the pole. And there has been some blending of the lingo. But I don't know. Maybe we need to blend the lingo a little bit more so we can pull some of those NASCAR fans over. Steve Torrance getting on Amanda was hilarious. Amanda can handle herself. Don't worry about it. Last year, I wasn't physically able to walk the track walk. This year, I can do it. You're going to have to prove it to me, Jeff. I'm going to have to see it. Shrimp doesn't melt. Not good. I felt like it was funny. All-time favorite track of yours. You want to know my favorite tracks? Well, the last two we went to, and the one we're going to, and then the next one we're going to. Denver, Sonoma, Norwalk, Bristol. All really difficult to. They're so great. Joey Chestnut, St. Elmo contest with our anchors. He brought paramedic, just saying. P1, baby. Exactly. Alan off the air now. I get to have the last word. Tell Fat Boy Alan to lose a few pounds. Oh, man, the kid Malcolm did real good, Michael. Thank you for all the inside notes on him. That was really good. This is what WFO is all about. To the new listeners, the first-time listeners, like this is not a Facebook video that you watch for 10 seconds of somebody falling down. Okay, it's a show. It's long. People stick around. We've been on the air for an hour and 26 minutes, for gosh sakes. But we learned a lot. We had a little fun. We got you away from the day, and now you can go and recap everything. Shrimp on a hot day. Yeah, no, it's not an outside contest, Derek. First of all, ice cream at 10:30 in the morning is a little weird for some people. Why does it say I'm a Facebook user? Because you got to sign in. It would be much better for you to watch on YouTube. Go to the WFO Radio TV YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see your comments. All right, everybody. What's happening later this week? You tell me. Ron Capps, 12 noon tomorrow. We're going to talk with Ron. Will Ron discipline his crew chief? Is Guido going to be suspended for a race? Because obviously, that is just being silly. First race win with the Toyota body. Second win on the season. Wants to fight his way up there and get the same respect that these guys are getting. Jimmy and Dickie and their drivers. We'll see what they say. Caps on tomorrow, 12 noon. We're also going to hear from Angelle. We're going to hear from Jerry Savoy. We're going to hear from Erica all later in the week into next week. Plus, we're going to have an ignition show. I'm going to take a couple of days off from live, but you will have content. It'll just be pre-recorded. So, you know, I don't know what you comment like when I'm not around, but it just won't be live. Oh, one more thing. I'm going to pause the music to tell you about something big that is going to be happening in the WFO universe. I want you all to know about. KI, Chris Ingleson from CIP1. He works on the Total SEAL team. Last race out, I guess it was in Bristol. He said, Joe, I got something for you. And I was like, what is it? And he brought me this. It is a pack of drag racing cards from 1993. The 1993 NHRA Winston drag racing cars. 25 photo and stat cards. And you can see this is a sealed pack. And he's like, what you do with them is up to you. And so I thought about it. And I even tweeted it and I put it out on Instagram. What should I do with it? Should I keep it sealed or should I open it? And this is now the hot subtopic on WFO. What should I do with this? And it's going to sit right here. And we're going to decide as time goes by. And maybe one day I'll just open them on the show. Start going through them. Maybe I won't. This is going to be a big thing. It's going to go right here. All right, guys. See you tomorrow with Ron Capps. WFO.